Okay, thank you all for joining us today for the Communicating Effectively with Your Mentor or Advisor workshop. Joining us today is Dr. Levent Atici, Executive Director of Undergraduate Research, and he's going to share with us some tips to cultivate healthy professional relationships between our mentors. So I'm going to hand it over to him to get started.
Thanks, Alex, and thanks, graduate college colleagues, Valerie, Nev. It's always a pleasure to talk with you all, right? I'm very happy to share with you some of my experiences and treat this as a friendly chat conversation. Again, my name is Levent Atici. I'm the Executive Director of Undergraduate Research as well as a Professor of Anthropology. And I'm I was a graduate student for a very long time because I earned my first degree, BA degree, in my native country, Turkey, followed by a master's degree, again, my alma mater, Ankara University in Turkey. Then I was in a PhD program at the same institution for 4 years. Just during the final year of my final semester of my actually doctoral studies, I was recruited by Harvard University and offered a 6-year full scholarship. Then that was it. I just unplugged and quit, moved to the right side of the pond and started from scratch. And then, but that meant that I was graduate student again for 6 more years. So yeah, and again, being a graduate student for a long time and working with various people, I think I've accumulated enough anecdotes and experience to share with you. So I'll start right away. And again, like Alex said, if you have any questions, if you have any trouble following me or understanding my fat accent, please don't hesitate and interrupt me and type your questions in the chat box or unmute yourself. But I just don't want to just get off myself because I'm not the boss here. So you'll need permission from Alex, right, Alex? All right, let's go. So I would like to start kind of clarifying 2 concepts: advisor versus mentor. Because when you start your graduate education, right, you're introduced to a graduate program, and most graduate programs in the United States setting will have a formalized process with a committee, and right, and then you're going to have a primary advisor, a secondary advisor, and maybe a tertiary advisor, but you're going to have a committee of advisors, right? So that's why I would like to actually distinguish between an advisor and a mentor, because advisors are usually a little different than mentors, because their involvement with graduate student development may be limited to guiding your academic development, right? So that they may not be as involved as you would expect or anticipate, right? They may talk to you about all the tangibles, right? Degree requirements, like they may walk you through the cheat sheet, like how many credits do you need, when do you need to write up your prospectus, when do you need to defend it, what's the process, etc., right? And they may discuss with you issues related to your thesis or dissertation, etc. But the framework is more academic, okay? But when you move into the mentor territory, it actually contains your academic and professional development, but also kind of opens the door for a higher degree or involvement, a deeper engagement, and also maybe personal attachment. Okay, that's why mentorship is a little different. And a mentor is a more experienced and knowledgeable person who will work with you, right? Who will nurture you, who will be interested in your personal and professional development, and also your well-being as a human being, okay? And again, your mentor is going to be concerned with your development, right? In terms of your teaching, in terms of your career development, professional development, advancement, in terms of your other activities such as publishing, writing, conference presentation, right? It's a kind of overall involvement to generate a well-rounded graduate student or professional in the making. Okay, so that's really important to understand. And it may be a longer term relationship. Okay, whereas your relationship with your advisor may just expire by the time you graduate. But with your relationship with your mentor may be lifelong. See, I mean, I still pick the phone to talk to my mentor. I email my mentor if and when I'm in kind of limbo, if I need guidance. And don't think that, when you become a professor, you're going to be done, right? You're going to be done and you will know it all. No, in our business, right, academia or research, we are students for life, right? We are students for life, and we subscribe to lifelong learning. And we ideally, of course, we have the love of learning for our life, for whatever subject we're interested in. So in that sense, it's really important to understand. And also there's this concept of mentoring up, mentoring down, mentoring across, right? And if you look at the research on this topic, you just will see that students will be mentored by actually so many different stakeholders. So when you look at this particular research, and you have the citation at the bottom, right? You see faculty members, undergraduate students, graduate students, staff members, librarians, postdoctoral scholars, other community partners, and others, right? Playing mentorship roles. And sometimes, even as a student, you will have to actually mentor up, and you'll have to educate your mentor so that your mentor can be a good mentor to you, right? Why? Because, a graduate school, unlike undergraduate education, is different in that everybody may have a tailored, individualized, specific program, right? A curriculum, right? Because again, we choose to specialize on topics, and that may be theoretical, that may be methodological, and it may be at times kind of very niche, right? So in that sense, graduate training is really different, and then you may benefit from actually mentorship of many others. And again, including peer or fellow students, including more junior people. So don't think that you're the only one needing mentoring, right? Everybody needs mentorship. And again, I can tell you my own experience when I landed my job here as an incoming tenure track assistant professor in anthropology. I was assigned a mentor, right? A faculty mentor, a senior professor was assigned to me as my mentor. Now, why? Because I was in a position to actually navigate a new territory to develop as a faculty, right? And that requires mentorship. And also, when I moved to the dark side in 2019 to become a research administrator, when I took the leadership of the Office of Undergraduate Research, again, as a new administrator, I needed mentoring from more experienced people, okay? So understand. So what does a mentor do? So first and foremost, your mentor, or if you're the mentor, you are going to have to be a role model, right? So you'll have to model excellence in research, excellence in teaching, excellence in service and professional development, and excellence in also ethical conduct, right? So in that sense, mentors should always be aware of the fact that students will observe them, right? They will copy them, they will learn from them, and they will just kind of just establish their own right intellectual foundation, modeling after their own mentors. So in that sense, mentors' role, first and foremost role, is being role models. Then also it's a two-way street, right? As a mentee, you need to know your mentor, right? And as a mentor, you need to get to know your mentee. So in that sense, dialogue is really important. And again, this dialogue, right, is a two-way street. And it should be on an individual basis, right? You need to invest to get to know your mentor or mentee. So I'm talking to cover both ends so that you understand, because as graduate students, you may also, again, mentor each other or mentor undergraduate students. So it's important to just make the effort to get to know your mentees and mentors. And it's important to establish effective processes to communicate, right? Identify shared expectations, identify agendas, right? Identify boundaries, draw the lines, right? And if there are rules, regulations, policies, just have a very open and candid conversation about all of these. Effective communication, clarity, and transparency, these are really important. And mentors also demystify research, they demystify teaching, they demystify service. They talk about many aspects of research, they talk about aspects of teaching, aspects of service. And this is really important because many of these things are unwritten, right? There are not rules, sometimes these are vague, and sometimes students do not know what specific questions to ask to be, more knowledgeable about these things. So in that sense, it's very important. Again, we're going back to communication, asking questions, right? And mentors facilitate mentees' professional development, right? And again, they help you understand your profession, right? They help you network, right? They help you understand faculty governance. They help you understand aspect of administration, right? For example, if you're working with a faculty mentor and that faculty mentor has a research lab, right? It'll be very beneficial to you. Why? Because you're going to learn that administrative aspect of running a research lab. And actually, I benefited from that because as a graduate student in Harvard's anthropology department, I was a lab manager for the zooarchaeology lab in Peabody Museum of Ethnology and Archaeology for 5 years. And when I landed here at UNLV, and when I was given a startup budget to create my own lab, it was to me effortless. Why? Because as a graduate student, I learned all the aspects of creating a lab, managing it, directing it, right? Understanding the needs, budgets, right? Personnel, all of those things, right? Budgeting, development. So in that sense, your mentor will help you develop not only in your own subject matter as a as an expert in your whatever field you're studying, but also other aspects of professional development, such as administration, management, service, teaching, etc. And then your mentor will help you find other mentors, okay? So one size doesn't fit all, and just having a mentor doesn't necessarily mean that you are supposed to be in this just unique relationship, right? And it's monogamous, right? So you're married to your mentor, and then you cannot cheat on your mentor by talking with others. Okay, so your mentor will introduce you to other faculty, postdoctoral scholars, graduate students, undergraduate students, administrators, or other people in the professional domain with similar interests. So networking, right? And it's very important for you to understand, right? Your mentor, and again, mentors are human beings, right? And there are also so many different factors, such as gender, such as age, ethnicity, race, right? Socioeconomic or class-related factors. And these may or may not play significant roles in your relationship with your primary mentor, or individual biases, inherent biases, these may all impact, right? Let me give you an example. I had a primary mentor while a graduate student, and he was really involved, very hands-on, and he helped me a lot. And I'm an ESL student, right? I'm coming from a different country, different culture, and English is my second language, and it's a really demanding program. So I really needed that guidance, right? Especially during the process of developing my writing, it was tremendously helpful, right? His support was really, really transformative for me. But then, he was a man, and again, all the things that I just mentioned, right? And some cultural also aspects. And he was also coming from a wealthy background, and, and again, being a graduate student, being so poor, like dirt poor, right? Sometimes we had some barriers, and again, that relationship also didn't have some empathy in terms of my resources and my ability to accomplish certain things. So, but thankfully there was another professor on my committee who came from a similar background, and he was from Israel, and I'm from Turkey, so culturally more compatible. And also, his background was also very similar to my background, because I'm also a first-gen student coming from an extremely poor background, right? So he would tell me, like, okay, when you need to talk about financial issues and other issues, please come to me. So if I needed a software, my primary advisor would tell me, oh, it's really cheap, it's on sale, it's $700. And I'm like, what? $700? I mean, that's my, that's to me not it doesn't sound like a good deal, right? It's not a bargain, right? And then I would go to my second advisor, and he would say, I have the site license, and you're a graduate student, you have limited finances. Do not invest funds into these. Come to me, and I'll add you to the license. See what I mean? I mean, all of these factors, and again, you may be working with a junior faculty member, right? That's a different dynamic. And you're a female graduate student, you may be working with a male faculty member. That may be a different dynamic. So in that sense, it's always a great idea for you to diversify, okay, your resources, and diversify your network, and try to find people who can help you on multiple fronts, different fronts, and who will have different strengths. And it's okay, it's acceptable, okay? It's not, don't feel guilty, like, oh, so I'm talking to someone who's not my mentor. So again, that's why I've emphasized mentorship is not necessarily a formal role as your primary academic advisor, right, by, say, graduate college, by means of graduate college and all those assigned roles. Okay, so mentors, best mentors practice active and deep listening, okay? And then they also hear you, they see you. They take the time to learn more about you, right? And they take the time to understand your strengths and weaknesses. And it's also on you to also mentor up your mentor, so that they understand your strengths and your weaknesses better, right? So they also approach their mentees' performance, and understand, right, again, strengths and weaknesses, and create a reasonable, rational, and doable plans with attainable goals for you. They don't set you for failure, right? They build trust before giving feedback, right? And offer constructive and specific feedback. Being clear is kind, right? So it's one of the most important things, and you have to be clear. You have to clearly communicate expectations. That's why this is really important to re-emphasize. Being clear is kind. They also check in with their mentees to kind of show their commitment, connect them to powerful people, to resources, right? Email introductions, such a simple thing. Again, celebrate small wins, focus on the positive, offer encouragement, right? And then again, ask how and why questions, ask open-ended questions, ask direct questions, all in an attempt to advance the relationship, right? To establish trust, right? And again, stories. That's what I just did, right? I just offered you a story because stories pertaining to past experiences are the most powerful tools to actually create connection, right? So benefits of mentoring. Why do you need mentors? Again, it's a long-term relationship. And remember, there are two kinds of relationship. Transactional. You want something, somebody has it, you get it, right? That's transactional. But true relationships are ongoing and they're reciprocal, mutually beneficial for both parties with best intentions. So that's why you have to invest into a mentor-mentee relationship because it's long-term, right? And again, mentors will support your advancement in research, conference presentations, publications, pedagogical skills, grant writing. Is this important? Yes, because this is how you get a job, right? If you would like to land a job in academia, right? And when you apply for jobs, again, your CV will have to be decorated with all of these, right? Conference presentations, organizations, publications, teaching record, and funding, right? Again, these are all expectations for academic jobs, right? And of course, if you are considering non-academic pathways, these are still going to be helpful. And mentors also will help you manage the stress because graduate school is stressful. I remember my first conversation with my committee of advisors. They told me this openly right off the bat, and I was kind of shell shocked because they told me, "You're here to suffer. You're not here to party. You're not here to have fun." And I was like, okay, thank you for stating the obvious, but I already knew that. But there was just like, boom, right? The reality. So you'll be going through stressful periods, and having a mentor, right, with deep listening skills will be very helpful because they will first, work with you toward a solution. They will give you solid advice, and they will be your advocate. They will be in your corner. Remember, you're a team with your mentor, right? Mentor mentee is a team. So some students don't get this. If your mentor is giving you feedback, and sometimes if that feedback is harsh, say you wrote a piece and and you received your mentor's feedback, and you just realize that your paper is bleeding red ink, right? Don't take it personally, okay? Don't be offended, right? Because they're just trying to help you, right? They're in your corner. They're committed to helping you advance, okay? Because they want to help you with your career development, with your networking, so that you can eventually land a job, right? And they also help you engaged, involved, and mentor-mentee relationship also creates a social environment, right? Creates social bonds. And that also is very important for retention and inclusion because students who don't have a sense of belonging or membership, or they're not immersed in a community, right? Because, learning is also a social activity. Research can be social too. So in that sense, it's also very important from that perspective, right? So some key considerations, like in any relationship, relationships require commitment from both sides, right? Accountability, and also take time, right? So you have to be patient because your relationship with your professional relationship with your mentor will evolve over time, right? And sometimes, but this is not to mean that you would have to absolutely like your mentor, absolutely admire your mentor's personal qualities or social qualities, other qualities, because sometimes you also have to understand the very fact that your personal satisfaction, social interaction with your mentor will be the least impactful maybe aspect of your development, right? And again, I can speak to that because I've also worked with very, very difficult mentors, difficult in terms of social domain, but it didn't stop me from benefiting from their expertise, benefiting from their knowledge, benefiting from their connections, benefiting from their guidance. I mean, if you don't find yourself in an ideal social relationship with your mentor, of course, it's an important factor and it's a decision that you'll have to make, but it's not the end of the world, right? You can still manage that relationship by focusing on the professional side and by also focusing on what is it that you're getting out of that relationship, right? That's your professional development, right? So in that sense, it shouldn't be just all butterflies and flowers and right, very smooth, fantastic, friendly relationship. Because, and again, it's about personalities, right? Some people are natural, they're very social, very approachable, easy, and others may be not so sociable or approachable or easy. But it doesn't mean that, you just turn around and walk away, right? Why? Because you didn't just actually apply to this graduate program, you didn't apply to work with that professor to socialize with them, right? You did all of those things to benefit from their experience, wisdom, and leadership in the field. So understand that it's important, but it shouldn't be the determining factor. So again, each mentoring relationship should consider your goals, your professional goals, your needs, right? Your learning style. But in principle, you have to also make an effort to mentor up, to talk to your mentor, to clearly communicate your expectations, your goals, your needs, etc. Okay, because eventually you want to succeed and your mentor wants you to succeed, right? Because your success will reflect on your mentor too. Same, and I'm always proud that, I have actually mentored graduate students. They graduated, and one of my mentees, she is a tenure track faculty, and others have found jobs and they're also advancing in their career. And I'm always proud, right? And I'm just going to brag about that, right? Because it reflects on me too. So in that sense, just understand they're in your corner. Okay. So who should be your mentor? Again, it may be a hard question, but you can figure it out by just simply reflecting, right? Turning towards yourself, putting the lens, critical lens on you, and just being honest with yourself. Okay, what is it that you want? What is it that you want to learn? Okay, where is your desired information located? What is your target, right? So in that sense, follow your instincts, follow your heart, find your role model, and also look for inspiration, because that's the most powerful indicator, right? If certain people inspire you, and if they're in positions to be your mentor, that's where you have to direct your focus and attention. Okay, so expertise is really important, right? Because say suppose that you want to specialize in a specific field and on a specific, say, new technology, right? For example, in my field, I wish I had focused on, say, 3D technologies and morphometrics or mathematical geometric study of shape, because I study animal bones, osteology, and this is a new trend. See, I wish I could learn it. See, this is expertise, right? So if I'm looking for mentors, and if my goal is to get this new knowledge base, then right, the job is easy. Then I will just seek for professors who have this knowledge, who have the resources, right resources for me. Time is also important, right? Because it's you need to commit your time. as a mentor and as a mentee for both sides, right? Are you able to commit your time to be fully present, right, for my mentee? Or you can also flip that same question, right? Do I have the time to meet my mentor's expectations and level of engagement, right? Because if your mentors expect you to, like, okay, you have to be in my lab 30 hours a week at least, and if you know that you cannot meet that expectation, that's not rational, that's not reasonable or doable on your end, then you have the answer, right? Emotional availability is also important. Do I feel comfortable being emotionally available for offering counsel about life events as well, right? This point may pertain to mentors more because, again, I also can reflect on my own experiences, because I remember one of my mentees long time ago, they just wanted to talk about their private life all the time. And again, I had to have like a box of Kleenex on my desk, and then I had to make myself available all time to listen to it, because you have a student just in front of you and they're crying, they want to talk about their experiences, and you have two options, right? Like, sorry, I don't have time for this, please leave my office. Or, right, you have to make yourself available, right, and accessible emotionally to also offer counsel on non-academic issues. That's a decision. Okay. And also there's a fine line between professional and non-professional, right? But these things happen. So developing shared expectations. And again, you need to communicate with your mentor from the outset, okay, very clearly, to identify expected roles and responsibilities. And during this conversation, you also have to talk about some important issues such as authorship, right? Because if you're working in a lab, or if you're part of a research group, and if there's a manuscript already in a process, and you're plugged into this project, are you going to be a co-author, right? Are you going to be part of that group? So instead of just assuming or feeling entitlements, right, you need to just clearly ask questions, right, and understand your role. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with asking these. It's not going to sound unprofessional, right? So just talk about it. Okay, what is my role? I mean, like, what are your expectations? And what about the outcomes? So if there is, say, a paper out of this research, right, or grant, like, what is my role in that new domain, right? Should I assume authorship, co-authorship, or just like a simple thank you in the acknowledgements, right? But again, it's legitimate to talk about these things and plan ahead, so that you don't have hard feelings, or you don't feel betrayed or abandoned by your mentor, right? Because you didn't communicate, and you didn't ask, and you expected, or you assumed. So your assumptions may be unreasonable or not necessarily realistic. Okay, it's easy to just talk about these. And again, scheduling regular meetings. This is also important. And again, as mentee, you should also ask your mentor if they are not clarifying this. Like, you can simply, and of course, always respectfully, right, and professionally, just inquire. What's the frequency and regularity of our interactions and meetings will be, and what's the nature or structure of the meeting? Should I report? Should I prepare ahead of time? Right? Just ask these questions. And then your mentor will tell you, oh, let's meet every week, or let's meet every other week, or let's meet monthly. And then why don't you present to me this, right? Or that. But if they don't mention this, don't just let that just slip. Okay, just ask these questions and develop a reasonable and feasible plan. Okay, based on your short-term goals, your long-term goals, and identify benchmarks, right? For example, as a mentee, right, identify benchmarks as when do you think you should be presenting at professional conferences? When do you think you should be working toward writing a manuscript, right? When should you start your field work? I mean, obviously, it's your research, your agenda, but talk about these, discuss these, bring these to your mentors' attention and discuss, because you have a plan doesn't necessarily mean that your plan can be actually actioned, right? It's very important to have actionable items and attainable goals, because your plan may sound great to you, but if you're and trust me, and I personally had this, right? Because my one of my students told me that, okay, I'm going to come back next month with the first draft of the first 3 chapters of my dissertation, and I was like, you sure? You sure? Like you will have written 3 chapters, and 2 chapters being really important with data analysis and everything. Are you sure you can accomplish that? Are you sure that's a reasonable goal? And again, I would just try to just write, just stimulate further conversation and maybe thought, and then they would think, oh, you're right, maybe that's too soon. How about just 1 chapter next month? Okay, that sounds like a better plan. See, that's more. So again, remember, your mentor has been there. Your mentor has done that. And if your mentor is also seasoned and experienced working with other students too, right? And your mentor also has seen different students with different learning styles, different pace, etc. So they will be your best advocates. They will also try to protect you, okay? When they say things like that, like, I don't think that's a good idea, or I don't think, or that's too soon, it doesn't mean that they don't trust you, or they don't believe in your, credentials. It means that they've had the experience before. So they're trying to help you, okay? So feedback is really important. And I always say this, feedback is a really important point, but it should be also a two-way, right? It should be a two-way process for it to be effective, right? Your mentor is going to tell you, right? Share her ideas or her perception of your progress, her perception of your development, but you should also reflect on your relationship. And because this is also my rule, and I'm sure many people may feel similarly. No news in my book sometimes is good news, right? If you don't complain, if you don't tell me that you're struggling, if you don't tell me that you're going through this really rough time, if you don't tell me that you've had to deal with some challenging situation or family or something, right? Because you have a life. I have a life too, professional life, personal life. You have a professional life, personal life, and right. I don't have a crystal ball, and even if I have a crystal ball, I'm not going to look into it to just try to see what you're going through, right? So in that sense, I will assume and expect that you'll also tell me, you'll let me know, right? Because sometimes students just withdraw and they go into a dark alley and they hide in there, right? And again, I've experienced this too. And that, okay, I haven't heard from my student in a long time, right? Then I would reach out and check in, like, hey, how's everything going? How are you doing, right? But if I don't do it, right, you can't just live in the darkness forever, right? You should then reach out to your mentor. That's why it's a two-way street. That's also a part of your mentoring up your mentor, right? You're educating your mentor, right? And telling your mentor that, like, look, I failed to meet some of the deadlines because X, Y, Z. Okay, but always, again, contextualize, set a context for your discussions, and always fill in your mentor as to what's going on. Okay, because otherwise they will assume that everything is great, you're doing well, you're not reaching out, you're not complaining, life is great. Okay, and if you're faking it, then that's on you, right? If life is not great, you should communicate that. Okay, and again, authorship, professional meetings, all the rights, right? Clarify standards and norms, because some professors I know, and again, you may also have seen this, they are de facto your co-author, right? Whatever you create or whatever you will have created as a graduate student under your mentor, their name will be on it, right? And it may be okay or not, right? Because some people may think that, oh, of course, others may think that, this is conflict of interest, or maybe that there are ethical issues, but doesn't matter. You have to clarify these, and you have to have these conversations, okay? And understand the norms, understand the way your mentors wants to dance with you. Okay, so some tips. This is also very relevant for undergraduate students, right? Talk with professors, right? Go visit with them during their office hours, right? Tell them what you admire about their career, and instead of just asking just open-ended questions, ask specific questions, right? For example, why did you choose this career? Or why did you choose to focus on this research question? Or why did you go into inorganic chemistry and not organic chemistry, right? Or what has been most beneficial to you, in your career development? Or when you were a PhD student, what was your experience, right? Just ask questions to open up, right? To facilitate more conversations, right? And then storytelling. Then also ask for clear requests, like, would you feel comfortable reviewing my CV, right? Or I wrote this one-page funding application. I would really appreciate it if you could just give me feedback, kind of thing, right? Just engage and invite them to engage with you. And trust me, when you approach professors like this with actionable items beyond, like, how you doing, or beyond just small talk, just show them that you're committed, show them that you're serious, show them that you're willing to do the work, show them that you're actually doing the right things to get there, right? Have conversations with them, but meaningful conversations, right? So make it mutually beneficial. It's a symbiotic relationship, right? And again, be creative. Just email them, say like, hi, Professor Atisi, I know that you're interested in animal domestication. I just came across this paper. Maybe you may have already read it, but I thought that this would interest you, right? Just do that. Or, I mean, if you're on social media or LinkedIn, some professional platforms, give them a shout, online shout out. Say that, like, I attended Professor Brown's lecture, which was very intellectually stimulating. Or, oh, professors published this new paper. Look at that. This is great, right? Just be creative and engage them, right? And then connect them with others. Say, like, again, through email, say, oh, Professor Atisi, please meet, say, Alex, who's a graduate student and who's also interested in this research domain, which aligns with your research, right? Or two professors, even just engage two professors. I thought that, you would find this interesting. Okay? And nominate them for awards, right? There are a lot of awards for undergraduate faculty, graduate faculty. For example, we have an outstanding undergraduate research mentor award. And I know that graduate college, they have outstanding graduate advisor awards and things like that. Nominate them for awards. See, there's this shine theory. I don't shine if you don't shine, right? Again, this is a symbiotic relationship. This is a mutually beneficial relationship. Just engage, okay? So, some best practices for you mentees. Gratitude is the key, okay? You have to be gracious. You have to be respectful. You have to be professional. You don't take anything for granted. And if your mentor or advisor is generous, kind, please do not abuse that. Do not cross the line, and be respectful. Okay? Be honest and transparent about your goals, your plans, and changes, right? Because again, it's time, right? Especially for graduate students, when professors work with graduate students, right? It's a serious commitment. So if you're not serious, if you don't know what you want, right? And if you, and again, I have some anecdotes for this too, right? I've worked with some students who later told me that, you know what? I don't think I'm interested in academia, or I don't think I'm interested in this. I'm interested in that. I'd never thought about this. Now I just realized that this is not for me. Or, hey, I have a new girlfriend. I don't have time for this. Yeah, this happens. Believe me. So be honest, right, and transparent. And if you're not sure, if you don't think you can commit, and you can honor your commitments, do not. Right? Nobody's twisting your arm. See, being a graduate student is different than being an undergraduate student. Why? Because most undergraduate students, right? Most students going to college, they go because their parents, right? I have children, and in my household, going to college is not optional. So that's my daughter knows that, she's going to go to college, right? That's it. Conversation is over. See, but it doesn't apply to graduate school. So I'm not going to tell my daughter, like, you're just going to have to get a PhD, or, right? Conversation is over. And nobody has that kind of engagement, right? Parents do not impose on you to have doctoral. How does that happen? You choose, right? You decide that, okay, I'm just going to go the extra mile. I have a burning desire to pursue higher degrees, to specialize on this. So in that sense, you choose and you apply to the graduate programs, and you identify individual faculty. Then you even put in your letter of application, right? Then you go, and then if you tell people that, I'm not interested, right? Then we scratch our heads like, okay, what happened, right? Where's the gap? Why did you end up here? Why did you end up with me? And right? So again, commitment. Educate your mentor and spell out how you think your mentor can help, right? The law of diminishing returns. If it's not working, you've tried, you mentored up, right? It didn't work because there's a clear difference in terms of your philosophy or your mentor's philosophy, right? Then it's time to say au revoir, right? Focus on the message, ignore the tone. And this is really important, right? Because you may be working with difficult personalities. They may be the best people in their fields, right? But you may be in a situation where you're not going to have most entertaining conversations. They're not going to be most engaging or socializing or easy to talk with, right? Or even easy to approach. But you can still work with these people by focusing on the message, ignoring the tone, by not taking things personally, right? And again, I've had to work with difficult people, and this is something that's really helped me survive, right? If you're, right, professors talking with a karate moves, or with a really kind of like a angry tone or face, right? Just ignore. Know that, it's not against you. It may be their personality, it may be their style, it may be their tone. Just move past and focus mentally. Okay, what is it that my mentor is telling me? What is the problem? Oh, okay. My mentor is telling me that the first paragraph of this paper is not clear, or then the rest of the paper is not articulated, or my experimentation design is not design has logical flaws, right? Just focus on the message, right? Forget about the facial expressions, or all the gestures, or the tension or negative vibes you may be getting, right? They're irrelevant. Focus on the message. Be present and detach from the prize or current signals. Okay, so be psychologically available to your mentor, and move into some other interesting conversation, right? So if you are working with a difficult personality, if you're not sure of expectations, if you're not sure what your role is, like there's a lot of there's a gray area, right? And then you're not able to communicate. There's transparency. What happens? You move into a passive aggressive mode. You may adopt passive behavior, right? And again, here are some examples. You do not openly express your thoughts and feelings. You take things personally. You're anxious or tense, right? Then you let others make decisions on your behalf, right? And then you feel like you're underachieving and you're feeling, or you're failing, right? So these are some passive behaviors, right? And this can actually make the relationship worse and exacerbate the situation for you, right? Because if you display these passive aggressive behaviors, then your mentor may feel guilty, become angry, right? And then may do things on your behalf, right? So in that sense, you feel hurt, you feel humiliated, you feel defensive, you feel under achieving, right? So how can you avoid this, and how can you actually, remedy some of these communication issues to, reach out, right, to your mentor, right? So body language is really important, right? And some good examples are good posture, right? Nodding your head and showing attention, leaning toward your mentee or mentor, enunciating clearly, showing pleasant facial expressions, right? Maintaining eye contact, dressing professionally, right? Talking with gestures, right? With expressions, showing engagement, right? Having vocal variety, appearing calm and not agitated or angry, right? Sitting close enough to show openness, smiling, etc. See, both on both ends, these behaviors can, move the conversation forward towards solution. So I'm gonna conclude my presentation here to open for questions. I hope this has been useful. I hope you found some good ideas here to help you in your journey with your mentor. I'm just going to stop sharing and open the floor for questions. So either use the chat box or unmute to ask your questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was awesome. There are two ways to do the chat. You can just send a question to everybody, or if you wanted it to remain anonymous, you could chat Alexis directly. That's me, and then I'll read your question out for you, or you can just unmute yourself and go ahead. A lot of thank yous in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully, this has been useful and helpful with some action items, actionable things. No questions?
Thought it was very informative and very relatable.
Oh, thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Ashana. But same thing. I mean, if you don't have questions, I will assume that we've done a heck of a great job. Feedback, right? Feedback, timely feedback is very important. So give me some feedback. Come on, help me. No questions?
It was very, very thorough, so I would take that as a compliment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. So before we totally end the session today, we'd like to thank you again for being here and for sharing your time and your
My
expertise with
pleasure.
us. Thank you everyone for joining. Before you log off, if you could take a moment, and I just put a link in the chat, fill out our survey, that would be really great for us, and just enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you all so much.